There are 9 different generations of Pokemon, and today we're going to determine which out of the 9 generations is the best one by doing a tier list on all 9 of the generations. Now we have GOAT tier, amazing tier, good tier, okay, and meh. You know, I didn't add anything to make them really bad. There isn't really a horrible generation. Realistically, it's just a pack of Pokemon, you know? But we're not just going to be ranking the Pokemon, we're also going to be ranking the game of that generation. Before we start, I just want to say for the entire month of December, we're doing a fundraiser. For every single subscriber that we get during the whole month of December, I'm donating 5 cents of my own money to a charity for Alzheimer's and dementia. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you are, and let's raise some money for charity. And without further ado, let's jump into this tier list. Alright, so obviously first off we have Generation 1. Now there are multiple games for Gen 1. There's Red, Blue, Yellow, Green, Fire Red, Leaf Green, Let's Go Pikachu, and Let's Go Eevee. So there's a pretty hefty amount of Gen 1 games. Gen 1, obviously you have the base 151 Pokemon, which is just iconic. Everyone knows Gen 1, especially the starters. This has the most iconic Pokemon out there, and you know, it is the most iconic Pokemon game. Personally though, is it goated? Me personally, I would not say that Gen 1 games are goated. You know, it was the first ones. I do love those games a lot. Don't get me wrong. Gen 1 also, it's arguably the best generation when it comes to the Pokemon. Obviously, fan favorite, it would be GOAT, but I like another Pokemon game better. So I'm gonna put it in amazing. That's gonna trigger a lot of people right off the start. Generation 2 now. Generation 2 is a little bit tricky with me because when it comes to the actual main series games, I have never played a Gen 2 game before. I tried playing Gold on my phone when I downloaded a ROM hack. Other than that ROM hack, I haven't played Gen 2. I just haven't. So, and also Gen 2, between every region in Pokemon, Gen 2 has been the one that we haven't been on in the longest. You know, we're expecting to get a Gen 2 remake soon on the Switch. So right now Gen 2 has a lot of hype around it, but personally I can only rank the Pokemon, and the Pokemon for Gen 2, some of the best Pokemon out there, fan favorites, are in this generation. I'm gonna put Gen 2 in. Gen 2 was good. It was good. I haven't played the games. Maybe if I played the games, I would put it in amazing, or maybe even GOAT. I don't know, because I've never played the game. But actual generation wise with the Pokemon, I believe there's 150 Pokemon in Gen 2, and it is a very good generation. Next is Gen 3. Now the reason why I ranked Gen 1 so low is because Gen 3 is my all-time favorite Pokemon generation. So off the start, I'm putting Gen 3 in GOAT tier, and I'll explain why. Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald are some of the best Pokemon games ever created. Personally, I know Gen 1's starter trio is the most iconic starter trio out there, but Gen 3's starter trio personally is my favorite trio. I think there is nothing that tops Gen 3 trio. The more I think of it, if you go Gen 1 versus Gen 3 starter trio, you know, Gen 1, the fan favorite is Charizard and Blastoise. Venusaur kind of gets pushed to the side, and Blastoise is very, very popular, but not as popular as Charizard. Gen 1, the all-time favorite is Charizard. Gen 3, fan favorite wise, there isn't. Everyone loves Blaziken. Everyone loves Swampert. Everyone loves Sceptile. And all 3 of them have Mega Evolutions. So do the Gen 1 Pokemon. All 3 Gen 1 starters also have Mega Evolutions, but none of them are as good as the Gen 3 ones. Plus 2, the remakes for Gen 3 are just amazing, man. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are arguably the best Pokemon remakes ever made. You got Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre, mega evolutions for the starters. Latios and Latias have mega evolutions. You could fly around on them and actually, like, it's not like a cutscene fly fast travel thing. It's you actually fly where you want to go. That is why Gen 3 for me overall is the best generation. Next is Gen 4. Gen 4 is a little bit tricky. The original Pearl, Diamond, Platinum were amazing, but Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl just kills this generation. I would honestly put Gen 4, I would put it in good tier, but above Gen 2. We're ranking these games overall. Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl kind of lowers its tier a bit. If we were ranking just the original games and not the remakes, I'd put it in amazing. But because we're ranking the remakes as well, every single game that's involved in that generation, then it's a good game. Next is gonna be Gen 5. Now, Gen 5 is similar with Gen 2 for me, where I have never played Black and White or Black 2, White 2. I've never played them. And I know that one's gonna get me a lot of hate because Black and White are the fan favorite Pokemon game. A lot of Pokemon fans, majority of Pokemon fans actually, who've played every single game, say that Black and White is the best Pokemon game. I have never played it before. There's only 2 Pokemon games that I've never played, and that's Gen 2 and Gen 5. And also Gen 5, when it comes to Pokemon, I can't lie, I don't really like Gen 5 much. Maybe it's because I haven't played the games, but I never really liked Gen 5. I just realized this whole time my ring light was off. There we go. Now the first half of that video, the lighting is screwed up. I'm gonna have to put Gen 5 at okay. I can't lie. It's gonna have to go at okay. I know I'm gonna get some hate for that. I know I will. Trust me, if I've played the games, I'd probably rank it higher. Next is Gen 6. This was the first ever 3D Pokemon game. Gen 6, the Kalos region, personally, while playing it, it was absolutely amazing. Between the starters, obviously Froakie is the top dog in that starter pool. Gen 6, overall, it was a very good game, you know? The Kalos region was very, very good. Starter pool was decent. It wasn't the best, but it was decent. Honestly, I'm gonna put it at pretty amazing. I can't lie. Gen 6, I think I'm gonna put it amazing. I was like 10 years old when this game came out, so I played it for the first time at 10, so maybe that's a little bit of nostalgia talking. I mean, the first Pokemon game I've ever played was Pokemon Blue, so I've been playing Pokemon since I was like 2, and I've been collecting cards my whole life. So next is Generation 7, Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Now, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon were okay. The shiny rates in that game were absolutely amazing, but we're not talking about shinies here. Gameplay wise, Pokemon Sun and Moon, it's not that good. A lot of people say this is the worst Pokemon game. I don't think it's the worst. I think there's one other game that I would rank lower than it. It's a meh for me. I don't really like Sun and Moon too much. Even the starters aren't that great. I don't even remember who I chose. I think I chose Litten when I played this game. The best starter between the 3 is most likely Rowlet. Decidueye is just overpowered, especially if you're playing ranked. I will say Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon were definitely better than the base Sun and Moon. That I'll say. Next is Generation 8, Pokemon Sword and Shield. This is the only Pokemon game that I have a shiny charm in. I really liked this game. I can't lie. It was the first ever kind of open world Pokemon game. There was that one area that was open world, but I liked this game enough to grind and finish my Pokedex to get shiny charm, and now I'm streaming this game every Wednesday trying to get every single legendary Pokemon in the Crown Tundra, which I love the Crown Tundra. This is also the first Pokemon game to have an additional DLC. This Pokemon game, Sword Shield, it is currently the most sold Pokemon game out there, so a lot of people like this game. I'm gonna put it in amazing. It's not goated, but I'm gonna put it in amazing, above Gen 6 but below Gen 1. And next is Generation 9, the final Pokemon generation as of 2023. This game, Scarlet Violet, is the one Pokemon game that I would rank lower than Sun and Moon. Personally, this is my least favorite Pokemon game. This game is now a year old. There's the DLC for it and everything, which I bought the DLC. I haven't played it yet, but I bought the DLC the day it came out. Pokemon wise, this game just doesn't feel like Pokemon. I get it, they tried to go open world because everyone loved Legends Arceus, and you know, the Switch is capable of doing a lot of things, so they wanted to make it open world. I don't really like it too much. I prefer the basic, there's a couple cities, you know, you go do your gym battles, you know, and you have to follow a specific route, you know. I prefer that over get the legendary of the game at the very beginning and he's your vehicle. Then you feed him sandwiches to get your shiny odds boosted and stuff like that. If I had to rank these games based on shiny hunting, I'd put Scarlet Violet in amazing for shiny hunt. If you get a shiny charm and you use a shiny sandwich, oh yeah, it's very good shiny hunting in this game. But actual game wise, personally, I think this is the worst Pokemon game. Anyway, this is my final tier list. Gen 9 and Gen 7 being in meh. Gen 5 being in okay. Gen 2 and Gen 4 being good games. Gen 6, Gen 8, and Gen 1 being amazing. And Gen 3 being the GOAT of Pokemon. You know, since I've ranked every generation now, I might as well get a shiny in all of them.